In the beginning, we see a man being chased by a group of men. The man has a scroll in his hand and is determined to deliver it at any cost. During the chase, we get to know that this man is an earthbender as he attacks the groups of men using his powers. Meanwhile, the group of men chasing him are firebenders. Then we see another earthbender who is waiting for his friend at the end of the street. However, before the man can reach him, he is attacked by one of the firebenders and he falls to the ground. Seeing no other way, the man tosses the scroll to his friend and asks him to deliver it to the Earth Lord and inform them about the plans of Fire Lord Sozin to initiate an attack on them. Then he stays behind and fights the firebenders, but he is taken hostage and presented before Fire Lord Sozin. The man begs Lord Sozin not to attack his nation, and in a surprising turn of events, Lord Sozin reveals that the attack on the Earth Nation is just a distraction. While the entire world will have their eyes on the Earth Nation, he plans to attack the Airbenders and kill the Avatar because he is the only person who can dare to stand in his way. After this, he burns the man alive and kills him. The scene shifts and Avatar introduces a world in which the four elements, earth, air, fire, and water, are kept in check by the Avatar, who has the power to control all four elements. The Avatar keeps the world in peace, but when one dies, their spirit is reborn and another Avatar emerges, though this is a process that seems to take a bit of time. Now, since the death of the last Avatar, Lord Sozin sees it as an opportunity to get rid of the Airbenders, from whose ranks the latest Avatar will be chosen, and then take over the world without a viable challenger to his dominance. Now we meet Aang, a somewhat cocky but very talented kid whose best buddy is his flying bison, Appa. It is revealed that Aang is going to be the next Avatar. His main teacher, Brother Gyatso, knows Aang is super good at what he does, but he's not sure if Aang's ready for big responsibilities. Instead, Gyatso keeps telling Aang how great he is, which boosts Aang's confidence. But when the Fire Nation starts attacking the Earth Kingdom, the high authorities at the Sky Temple decide it's time to tell Aang he's the next Avatar. They want him to learn all the bending skills so he can fight back against the Fire Nation. Even though Brother Gyatso is reluctant to vote in favor of this decision, considering Aang's young age, but seeing no other way to protect the world, he agrees. Brother Gyatso breaks this news to Aang and asks him to start prepping. Aang, feeling confused, flies off with Appa to clear his head, not knowing that the Fire Nation is about to attack the Sky Temple. Meanwhile, the Fire Nation destroys everything at the temple, including Gyatso. When Aang returns to the temple, he is devastated by the destruction caused by the Fire Nation. He gets really mad, and in a surge of emotions, Aang's special avatar powers suddenly show up. His tattoos light up blue, showing he's using his powers. Caught in a big storm, Aang and Appa get swept away and end up stuck in a huge block of ice, lost to the world for who knows how long. Next, we head to Wolf Cove, a village inhabited by the Southern Water Tribe. There, we meet the sibling duo Sokka and Katara, Aang's soon-to-be traveling companions. It is revealed that after their father departed for the war with the Fire Nation, teenage Sokka became the leader of the tribe whilst Katara was practicing her water bending in secret. On one fine day, Sokka and Katara head out on a boat trip, but their canoe gets swept along by some currents and they uncover a huge iceberg. This structure bursts and fires a huge beam of energy into the sky. This signal is also witnessed by Prince Zuko, who is Fire Lord Sozin's son. He is aboard a Fire Nation ship elsewhere in the region. It is revealed that he's been banished from the nation by his father, Fire Lord Sozin, until he finds the Avatar. So, he is desperately following any sign of the Avatar's whereabouts. As it turns out, this was caused by Aang, who was sealed away inside. He collapses and Katara convinces her brother to help bring him back to their village to help the young boy. Meanwhile, Zuko also sets sail for Wolf Cove, assuming that's where he'll be taken. Once he reawakens in the village, Aang learns from Gran, who is Katara and Sokka's grandmother, that he's been sealed away for 100 years and that he is officially the last airbender. He also summons Appa back to his side, much to the amazement of the villagers as they had never seen one before. During this, Zuko's Fire Nation troops are spotted near the village, and Gran surmises Aang must be the Avatar, and that's why they're coming. Sokka begins to prepare to defend the village after accusing Aang of being a coward as he hid away when the world needed the Avatar most. However, Katara tells him not to take Sokka's harsh words seriously and takes him with some other members of the tribe to keep him safe. Zuko and his men arrive at the gates. He states he only wants the Avatar and will do them no harm so long as the tribe hands him over. Sokka wants to surrender Aang, but Katara convinces him not to, so he heads out onto the ice and faces Zuko himself. He challenges the prince to a one-on-one duel. However, Zuko has been honing his skills to face the Avatar, and Sokka proves no match for him. But just as he moves to kill Sokka, Aang intervenes and fends off the firebenders with the help of the villagers. After this, Zuko orders the village to be burned to the ground, but Aang surrenders so long as they leave the water tribe alone. After this, Aang is taken aboard Zuko's ship. In a cell, he speaks to General Iroh, asking why the Fire Nation started the war. Iroh says some members of their people see the nation as needing to expand and consume like fire, whilst others believe that they will be able to bring stability to the nation by ruling over them. During this, Aang secretly uses his airbending powers to grab the keys to his cell from one of his keepers and escapes. He dives off deck and uses his staff to fly away from the ship, but Zuko shoots him down with a fireball as he starts tumbling to the ground below. Katara and Sokka, who'd climbed on Appa and gone after Aang, arrive just in time, and Sokka pulls him onto the Sky Bison. Zuko tries to fire again, but Katara blocks his shot with some waterbending. Aboard the creature, Katara and Sokka look to Aang for guidance as they can't bring him back to Wolf Cove without inviting more attacks from the Fire Nation. After this, Aang takes them back to the temple, which they find in complete ruins. And when Aang lays eyes on Gyatso's body, he's overcome with emotion and his powers cause a powerful whirlwind to whip up around him. It's a clear demonstration of how much power he possesses and how he can't really control it just yet either. Seeing his home in pieces, Aang resolves to complete the mission he set out on 100 years ago to complete his training and master the other bending arts. So the air nomad's deaths are not in vain, and he can defeat the Fire Nation and bring balance between the four peoples once more. Aang keeps feeling sad about losing Gyatso and the big job he has as the Avatar. He's worried because sometimes he goes into the Avatar state without meaning to and can't control it. He's scared that when he tries to help people, he might end up making things worse, even if it's just for a little while. So Aang, Sokka, and Katara decide to go to Kyoshi Island to learn from a past Avatar. Since Kyoshi died, the people on the island have been keeping her teachings alive. It is revealed that the people of Kyoshi Island stay away from other places on purpose to stay safe, so they don't know much about what's happening outside. During their stay on the island, Aang, Sokka, and Katara meet two of the Kyoshi warriors, namely Suki, who's about Sokka's age and quickly falls for him and he likes her back, and her mom, who's the leader of the village. Now, Sokka starts learning how to fight with Suki's help, but mostly he uses it as an excuse to flirt with her. Meanwhile, Aang entertains the locals with his airbending tricks and has serious talks with Katara about why he needs to learn the other bending styles. We are also introduced to Aang's winged lemur, whom Aang names Momo. While trying to go through things in Katara's bag to find food, Momo accidentally finds an important scroll. Thanks to finding this scroll that her grand secretly put in their stuff, Katara is getting better at controlling her powers as it has the basics of waterbending. In another place, Iroh and Zuko make a stop at a port where the local Fire Nation commander, Zhao, is stationed. They're hoping to gather information about the Avatar's possible whereabouts without attracting too much attention. Zuko barges into the commander's office, demanding maps and charts in a rather arrogant manner, while Iroh tries to smooth things over by pretending they're searching for a special type of squid. However, Zhao is shrewd and he manages to uncover what Iroh and Zuko are really after by questioning the crew. Upon hearing a rumor about a flying creature near Kyoshi Island, he decides to pursue the Avatar without informing Zuko and Iroh. However, when they realize they've been discovered, they give chase to Zhao, determined to catch up with him. They find out about Aang staying at the Kyoshi Island and decide to capture him. While Aang is in deep communication with Kyoshi through her colossal statue on the island, he enters a state close to a coma-like Avatar state. Meanwhile, Zhao and his troops arrive, sparking a confrontation between the Kyoshi warriors and the Fire Nation soldiers. This provides Sokka with a chance to demonstrate his newfound skills acquired from Suki's training, showcasing his progress. Additionally, it presents a significant moment for Kyoshi herself as Aang manages to channel her spirit during the fight. Taking on Kyoshi's form, Aang battles the firebenders and successfully drives them away. Through this experience, he realizes that he can only tap into the power of past avatars within their sacred shrines. During his communion with Kyoshi, Aang gains valuable insights. Kyoshi emphasizes the necessity of taking risks as part of his duties as the Avatar and warns him about the dire consequences of inaction. This profound exchange highlights the weight of Aang's responsibilities and the importance of decisive action in the face of adversity. While Kyoshi's intervention shifts the momentum of the battle, forcing Zhao's forces to retreat, Aang, Sokka, and Katara bid farewell to the island. As they depart, the villagers express gratitude for their visit, feeling reconnected to the world beyond their shores. Before leaving, Sokka and Suki share a tender moment, acknowledging their budding connection. With a new sense of purpose, Aang decides to journey to the northern water tribes, sensing a looming threat that only he can confront. Meanwhile, Zhao coerces Zuko into forming an uneasy alliance, leveraging Zuko's need to keep his pursuit of the Avatar under wraps. Despite Zhao's assurances of secrecy, he promptly betrays Zuko by informing the Fire Lord Sozin of Aang's return in a letter, placing everyone on high alert. In the Fire Nation, an attempted coup against Zuko's father, Fire Lord Sozin, unfolds, but it is thwarted by his daughter, Azula. This introduces Azula as a cunning and ruthless character who harbors animosity towards her brother and derives pleasure from witnessing the destruction. Meanwhile, Aang receives word of a surviving airbender in the Earth Kingdom. Pursuing this lead, he and his companions journey to the fortified city of Omashu, once a bustling hub of trade and commerce but now fraught with paranoia, espionage, and clandestine Fire Nation assaults. Upon reaching Omashu, they discover that the supposed airbender is a young boy named Teo who navigates his wheelchair with wings attached. Meanwhile, the group is stealthily escorted into the city by a charismatic individual named Jet. He quickly develops a romantic interest in Katara. Upon their arrival, Aang and his companions are introduced to Teo's father, Sai, an engineer employed by the city's king. They discover that Omashu is facing intermittent bombings believed to be orchestrated by Fire Nation saboteurs. After hearing this, Aang feels like it's his responsibility to protect these people. Therefore, determined to assist Teo in uncovering the truth, Aang opts to stay in Omashu until they can resolve the mystery. However, the situation takes a drastic turn when Katara witnesses Sai meeting with a Fire Nation spy. Jet intervenes and reveals that Sai is a traitor who has been selling valuable information to the Fire Nation. With no reason to doubt Jet's claims, Katara joins him in pursuit of the Fire Nation spy, engaging in a physical fight with the spy's accomplices. Now, it is revealed that Jet is the leader of a group of freedom fighters reminiscent of Robin Hood, operating from the forest. Among his group are a formidable figure named Pipsqueak and a skilled archer named Longshot. During their stay in the city, Jet not only aids Katara in honing her waterbending skills but also shares stories about her mother, further strengthening their bond. Meanwhile, Aang and Teo embark on an investigation into a cave suspected of being the bomb production site. However, their discovery implicates Jet as the perpetrator, causing a rift within the group. While Katara is inclined to trust Jet, Sokka, who has formed a bond with Sai over their shared interest in engineering, refuses to believe he is a traitor. As tensions rise, it is revealed that Jet is indeed guilty, though Sai's involvement with the spy remains unclear. Regardless, Jet discloses his plan to detonate a bomb strapped to Sai, intending to assassinate both him and the king of Omashu, whom Sai is scheduled to meet. This creates tension and the group rushes to intervene, but they are intercepted by Iroh and Zuko, who have infiltrated the city after receiving reports of an airbender's presence there. As Katara and Sokka rush to catch Sai, Aang finds himself in a fight with Zuko. Aang wonders why Zuko is so determined to catch him. Meanwhile, Azula secretly sends messages to Zhao asking for updates on Zuko's mission. It seems Azula doesn't want her brother to succeed in finding Aang. During the battle, Zuko gets carried away and starts using his fire powers, which attracts the attention of the Earth Kingdom soldiers. They end up arresting Aang and Iroh, but Zuko manages to escape. Both Aang and Iroh find themselves imprisoned, but their destinies within the Earth Kingdom differ greatly. Despite their circumstances, they manage to engage in conversation, during which Iroh reveals facets of his character beyond his reputation as a renowned general known as the Dragon of the West. Unfortunately, Iroh's bad reputation results in Earth Kingdom punishing him severely for his past actions. He is to be transported to the Pit, a notorious labor camp for prisoners of war in the Earth Kingdom. Along the journey, his guards harbor deep resentment towards him as they have suffered personal losses due to his military conquests. Meanwhile, Aang is brought before the Earth Kingdom king, who turns out to be Bumi, Aang's childhood friend. It is revealed that, unlike Aang, Bumi has spent the past century embroiled in constant warfare, facing countless impossible decisions. The immense stress has taken its toll on Bumi, causing him to exhibit erratic behavior. During his meeting with Aang, he oscillates between moments of fond reminiscence about their shared past and challenging Aang with various trials to prove his worth as the Avatar. As Aang grapples with the complexities of his reunion with Bumi, Sokka and Katara endeavor to devise a plan to rescue him. Their efforts are aided by Sai, who informs them of tunnels beneath the palace that could provide an avenue for escape. However, there's a catch. He explains them that the tunnels are unstable and rumored to be haunted. The revelation that Sai had been leaking secrets and designs to the Fire Nation disgusts Sokka and especially Teo. However, they come to understand that Sai's actions were motivated by a desire to protect his son and their home despite the betrayal it entails. As Sokka and Katara venture into the tunnels, despite warnings from a group of minstrels, they find themselves delving into discussions about their family and the disagreements they've experienced. While walking through the tunnels, Sokka and Katara come across giant badger moles. At first, they get scared, but it is revealed that these moles know earthbending and they can navigate the way through these tunnels using their powers. These badger moles help Sokka and Katara find a safe passage through the tunnels and lead them to the king's palace. Meanwhile, as Iroh is being transported, he remembers his past life. The flashbacks reveal the evolution of his relationship with Zuko following the loss of his son, Lu Ten. This tragedy led Iroh to abandon a siege and see Zuko not just as a nephew but as a surrogate son, filling the void left by his own child. From Zuko's perspective, we witness how Iroh provided warmth and fairness in contrast to others' treatment of him. When Zuko was banished until he found the Avatar, Iroh chose to accompany him. Meanwhile, Zuko reaches where his uncle is being held captive and successfully rescues him, revealing a genuine affection between them that had perhaps not always been apparent until now. Meanwhile, Bumi, despite his age of over 100 years, appears to be in surprisingly good physical condition. He challenges Aang to a fight to the death, partly to underscore the weight of the Avatar's responsibilities and partly due to lingering bitterness about Aang's absence during the Fire Nation's conquest. Fortunately, just as the fight is about to escalate, Sokka and Katara arrive in the nick of time, guided by a giant badger mole through the tunnels. Their timely intervention prevents any casualties. Aang, with his characteristic compassion, assures Bumi that he will save the world with the help of his friends, just as they helped him win the fight. This inspires Bumi to recommit to the fight against the Fire Nation. Additionally, Sai, motivated by Teo's example, decides to reveal the spy ring to the Earth Kingdom authorities. Inspired by the return of the Avatar, Sai chooses to take up arms and join the fight against the Fire Nation once more. After some time has elapsed, Aang and his companions continue their journey northward in search of the water tribe crucial to their mission. Meanwhile, rumors of the Avatar's return begin to spread far and wide, reaching even the most remote regions. Despite the urgency of finding the water tribe, Aang grapples with his duties as the Avatar. He struggles to resist the urge to assist anyone in need along their path. However, this inclination leads them into significant trouble. While journeying, Aang and his companions come across a devastated forest ravaged by the Fire Nation's destruction. Intrigued, they investigate further and encounter a young girl who guides them to her father. The man reveals that the Fire Nation decimated the forest to create a path to the mountain, but the consequences have been dire. The land has become sick, with animals refusing to graze, crops failing to grow, and people, including the man's son Shiryong, disappearing. Feeling compelled to address the dire situation, Aang ventures into the devastated forest where the boundary between the physical world and the spirit world has become thin. It is revealed that you can only enter the forest by leaving your body behind, as the entire forest is filled with the spirits of animals and humans. Thus, it's somewhat unexpected when he suddenly displays the ability to detach his spirit from his body and navigate an entirely different plane of existence. Despite this inconsistency, Aang somehow also manages to separate the spirits of Katara and Sokka, allowing all three of them to explore the forest together in their ethereal forms. Meanwhile, Zuko finds himself in a precarious situation as Azula continues to undermine him. She manipulates their father into bolstering Zhao's campaign by exaggerating his achievements, despite Fire Lord Sozin seeing through her attempts at one-upmanship. Meanwhile, even Zuko's own men, notably Lieutenant Ji, who has already proven to be disloyal, are growing increasingly impatient with his leadership. While searching for local gossip about waterbending, Zuko and Iroh meet a bounty hunter named June. Iroh chooses to hire her. However, this choice is a part of Zuko's continued learning under his uncle's guidance. Zuko has firm beliefs but lacks the real-world experience to support them. Iroh believes that Zuko needs to realize the significance of adjusting to various situations and customs. Back in the forest, various fascinating creatures inhabit the surroundings. A giant talking owl communicates exclusively with Aang, while a three-tailed fox warns Sokka about the dangers lurking in the fog. Additionally, it is revealed that a colossal monster, representing the wounded spirit of the forest, roams in a state of madness due to its agony. The fog within the forest serves as a conduit for individuals to relive their deepest and most painful memories. During this, Katara witnesses the tragic moment when her mother sacrifices herself to save Katara's life, while Sokka experiences his father's disappointment in him. These memories represent the character's profound traumas, the scars that have never truly healed. It is revealed that they are shown these memories by a malevolent entity later revealed as Ko the Face Stealer, a terrifying spirit resembling a centipede that consumes its victims and steals their faces. As the Avatar, Aang can resist Ko's illusions and reaches the end of the fog, where he reunites with Gyatso. It is revealed that after Gyatso's physical form was destroyed, he transitioned into the spirit world, knowing that Aang would eventually require his guidance. Gyatso explains the details about Ko and reveals that previous avatars, including Roku, have faced him and emerged victorious. Realizing that he needs to channel Roku's power to defeat Ko, Aang understands that he must physically be present at Roku's shrine, located in the Fire Nation. Now, with Gyatso's heartfelt encouragement and absolution of his guilt regarding the destruction of the Sky Temple, Aang sets out. Aang successfully infiltrates the Fire Nation and reaches Avatar Roku's shrine without encountering much trouble. However, he is confronted by some monks upon arrival. Fortunately, one of the sages named Shu comes to his aid, giving him time to communicate with Roku. Upon meeting Roku, Aang realizes that Roku's personality contrasts sharply with Kyoshi's. He is more lighthearted and humorous but becomes serious when Aang mentions Ko. Roku reveals that he didn't defeat Ko directly, instead, he stole something valuable from him and escaped, which partially explains Ko's current vengeful demeanor. The item is a totem that represents Ko's mother, also the mother of identity itself, which kind of explains the whole face-swapping approach that Ko has adopted. It doesn't quite explain why Roku has held onto the totem all this time despite Ko running riot in the forest. Isn't he to blame for stealing it in the first place? Perhaps he can only return it through Aang's intervention. After meeting Roku, Aang decides to get back to the forest and face Ko. Unfortunately, Aang gets caught by June before he can return to the forest. She brings him to Iroh and Zuko, who disobey Zhao's orders to catch him. But then Zhao shows up and takes Aang for himself. Zhao brings Aang to a Fire Nation base to impress Fire Lord Sozin. However, Aang doesn't stay locked up for long. Before he is killed, a mysterious swordsman breaks him out. Aang asks him about his identity, but the masked man does not say a word. They have an exciting fight together, with Aang using his bending skills and the swordsman showing off his quicksword moves. Eventually, the swordsman's mask comes off and it's revealed to be Zuko. Aang gets scared of him at first and decides to leave him behind, but he eventually comes back and helps Zuko escape to safety. Now, it is revealed why Zuko was banished from the Fire Nation by his father, and it's quite the tragic tale that builds a lot of empathy in Aang's heart for him, despite him being decidedly unlikable thus far. In the past, Zuko found himself amidst a war council where he bravely voiced his objections to a general's plan. He couldn't bear the idea of sacrificing an entire military unit as part of a larger strategy, deeming it heartless and unworthy of the Fire Nation's honor. However, his outspokenness embarrassed his father, the Fire Lord, who saw it as a challenge to his authority. As punishment for his perceived disobedience, Zuko was compelled to engage in Agni Kai, a traditional firebender duel. Yet, to his astonishment, his opponent turned out to be none other than his own father, Fire Lord Sozin. This unexpected twist filled Zuko with a mixture of shock, confusion, and dread. During the fierce duel, Zuko fought with determination, but he couldn't bring himself to deliver a finishing blow when he gained the upper hand. This act of mercy only further incensed his father, who regarded compassion as a weakness. In a brutal and irreversible act, Sozin punished Zuko by burning his eye, leaving him permanently scarred both physically and emotionally. Following his recovery from the traumatic ordeal, Zuko was banished by his father, who sought to toughen him up and strengthen his resolve. Stripped of his royal status and cast out from the Fire Nation, Zuko was given command over the 41st Division, the very soldiers who were initially slated for sacrifice in the ill-fated military strategy. This assignment served as a constant reminder of his father's disapproval and the heavy burden he carried as an outcast from his homeland. While Aang and Zuko share many similarities, Zuko's deep-seated trauma prevents him from fully embracing their potential connection at this point. He repeatedly lashes out at Aang, unable to reconcile his conflicting emotions. Despite this, they share fleeting moments of understanding before Aang sends Zuko back to his ship in a small rowboat. Upon his return, Zuko is greeted with a hero's welcome. Iroh recounts to Ji how Zuko's selfless act saved his life, earning him the respect and loyalty of his crew despite his failure to capture the Avatar. Meanwhile, Aang embarks on a journey to the spirit world to return Ko's stolen totem. As a gesture of gratitude, Ko releases all of his captives, including Sokka and Katara, bringing their harrowing ordeal to an end. Lieutenant Ji arrives at Zuko's ship after overhearing that the Imperial Guard is on their way to arrest him, with Zhao presumably having convinced Lord Sozin that Zuko is a traitor. In a panic, Iroh hastily sends Zuko away on a small rowboat. However, it soon becomes clear that this is a trap orchestrated by Zhao. It is revealed that the boat Zuko is on is rigged with blasting jelly. Without warning, the boat explodes, seemingly taking Zuko's life. Unbeknownst to his enemies, Iroh had anticipated this betrayal. Later, it is revealed that Zuko had disguised himself as a member of the crew and was aboard the ship all along. Meanwhile, Aang, Katara, and Sokka reach Agni Kai, the capital of the Northern Water Tribe. Here, they encounter Arnuk, the tribe's chief, who is accompanied by his daughter Yu, the tribe's spiritual leader, and Master Paku, the senior waterbending master. Upon their arrival, the tribe's leaders are somewhat underwhelmed by Aang. Additionally, Aang, having been shown a vision by Kyoshi on the Kyoshi island of Agna Kele being devastated by the Fire Nation, seeks guidance from Avatar Kuruk. However, his attempt to connect with Kuruk proves to be less successful than he had hoped. Furthermore, Kuruk shares with Aang the reason behind his reputation as a somewhat aloof avatar. He confesses that shortly after assuming the role of Avatar, he discovered the presence of malevolent spirits encroaching upon the world. In an attempt to confront them, Kuruk ventured into the spirit world where he engaged in a fierce battle. However, the encounter left him severely weakened and unable to harness the power of the Avatar state effectively. This explains why Aang cannot connect with Kuruk in the same manner he did with Kyoshi, as he has also been to the spirit world before this. In addition to his struggles with the evil spirits, Kuruk reveals the heartbreaking loss of his beloved, Ami, who fell victim to a vengeful spirit. This spirit was one of the many faces donned by Ko the Face Stealer, which also explains Roku's warning. Deeply affected by Kuruk's tragic tale, Aang begins to question the role of his companions in fulfilling his responsibilities as the Avatar. However, after being convinced by Kuruk's arguments, Aang resolves to face the Fire Nation alone, believing that his friends would only serve as burdens on his quest. Meanwhile, Sokka begins to develop feelings for Yu, a familiar face whom he senses he has encountered before. As he engages in conversation with her, he is pleasantly surprised to find her down-to-earth and relatable. However, his attention is drawn to a particular accessory adorning her head, which triggers a moment of recognition. Recalling a similar clasp tied around the tail of the spirit world fox he had encountered in the forest, Sokka realizes the connection. To his amazement, Yu confirms that she is indeed the fox he has encountered. She reveals that she is not entirely human, as she possesses a portion of the moon spirit's essence bestowed upon her during her childhood when she was gravely ill. Embracing their shared connection, Yu surprises Sokka with a kiss, cementing the bond between them. Meanwhile, Katara eagerly embarks on her waterbending training under Yagoda, a revered instructor within the tribe. However, her excitement is short-lived as she soon discovers a deeply ingrained tradition within the Northern Water Tribe that prohibits women from engaging in combat. Instead, women are relegated to roles as healers, far removed from the front lines of battle. Disheartened by this revelation, Katara finds herself at odds with the patriarchal customs of the tribe, especially considering her first-hand experiences battling firebenders. She believes that she is just as capable as the male warriors of the Northern Tribe, if not more so. Determined to challenge the status quo and prove her worth, Katara resolves to confront Paku, the senior waterbending master, on the matter. She sees no other option but to challenge him to a duel, hoping to demonstrate her skills and earn the respect she rightfully deserves. After this, Katara and Paku engage in a visually striking duel, showcasing their waterbending skills. Despite Katara's valiant efforts, Paku emerges victorious, as expected given his expertise. However, Katara's performance garners immense admiration from the spectators, who are thoroughly impressed by her skill and determination. After this, both Katara and Sokka assert their unwavering commitment to stand by Aang's side and join him in the fight against the Fire Nation. They refuse to be sidelined and insist on taking an active role in the battle. By choosing to fight alongside Aang, they alleviate his concerns about their safety and absolve him of any sense of responsibility for their well-being. Suddenly, ominous signs of the upcoming battle appear as soot begins to rain from the sky, signaling the arrival of the Fire Nation. With their presence looming, the time for a great battle is upon them. Aang, Sokka, and Katara launch a surprise attack on one of the Fire Nation's ships. However, their victory is short-lived as they soon realize that they are vastly outnumbered by an approaching fleet of enemy ships, far beyond the capabilities of Agna Kele's warriors. To deal with their dire situation, Agna Kele's strategic advantage lies solely in its geographical location, accessible primarily from the front and only by water. Unfortunately, Zhao unveils a formidable weapon, a massive hot air balloon procured through intelligence gathered from spies in Omashu. This technological marvel grants the Fire Nation the ability to bypass the capital's defenses and launch an aerial assault, posing a significant threat to Agna Kele's survival. As the Northern Water Tribe readies itself for the impending battle, Katara persuades Paku to grant all the tribe's women permission to participate, recognizing the importance of unity in defending their homeland. Meanwhile, Zhao reveals his sinister scheme to Iroh. He plans to exploit the unique celestial event known as the Ice Moon, during which the ocean and moon spirits manifest in mortal form for a single night to gain insight into humanity. Zhao intends to seize this opportunity to fatally wound the moon spirit, which is the source of power for all waterbenders. In a moment of urgency, Kurik manifests before Aang, cautioning him about Zhao's nefarious plot and alerting him to the presence of the dagger intended for the moon spirit's demise, which is ominously nearby. Aang, accompanied by Sokka and Yu, rushes to thwart Zhao's sinister scheme of harming the moon spirit. Meanwhile, Katara finds herself engaged in a high-stakes duel with Zuko, who has infiltrated Agna Kele in a solitary attempt to capture Aang. In the sacred grove, Zhao spots two fish, one black and one white, swimming in a harmonious yin and yang pattern. Recognizing them as the spirits, he seizes the white fish representing the moon spirit and prepares to strike it down. During this, Iroh comes to rescue the fish and attacks Zhao, but despite Iroh's valiant attempt to intervene, Zhao manages to pierce the moon spirit with his dagger, extinguishing the moon's glow and severing the source of power for all waterbenders. With the waterbenders' abilities nullified, the momentum of the battle shifts dramatically in favor of the Fire Nation. Seizing the opportunity, the Fire Nation forces advance, overwhelming the resistance and pressing forward with their assault. Now, in a bold and sacrificial move, Aang surrenders himself to the ocean spirit, allowing it to merge with him and harness the Avatar's formidable powers. Transformed into a colossal, kaiju-like entity, Aang unleashes a devastating onslaught upon the Fire Nation fleet, decimating their forces with unparalleled ferocity. As chaos ensues, Zuko confronts Zhao in a fierce duel, emerging victorious against his adversary. However, even in defeat, Zhao's bitterness persists, revealing the true motive behind Zuko's mission and shattering his spirit. Witnessing his nephew's anguish, Iroh takes decisive action and eliminates Zhao, freeing them both from his malevolent influence. With their mission accomplished, Zuko and Iroh escape the chaos together, forging a new path forward amidst the turmoil of battle. Meanwhile, Aang emerges victorious and defeats the Fire Nation. Meanwhile, the fate of the black fish in the pond takes a somber turn as he becomes a wandering spirit, haunted by the absence of his partner. However, Yu, infused with the essence of the moon spirit, makes the ultimate sacrifice, transcending into the new moon spirit and restoring balance to the world. Meanwhile, despite his regrets, Aang finds solace in the encouragement of his companions and resolves to continue his quest, embarking on the path to master the other bending disciplines. However, their triumph is short-lived as the season's end unveils a sinister plot orchestrated by Azula, who seizes control of Omashu under the guise of diversion. Now, as Lord Sozin's comet approaches, the Fire Nation keeps marching forward, determined to dominate without pause.